Growth of modern industries. The British government gave priority to jute textiles, coal mining and cotton textiles industry. The first jute mill was established with British capital in Bengal, which was followed by setting up of jute mills at other places. Coal mining also flourished in India as it was an attractive business for British investors. There was a great demand of coal in railways and factories. Coal and iron ores are essential for the establishment of iron and steel industry. But the same could not be done as British government placed several restrictions on it. It was only in 1907 that Jamshedji Tata set up an iron and steel company at Jamshedpur. Due to several restrictions imposed by the British, the heavy industries could not develop at the required pace in India. Cotton textile industry, however, grew rapidly in the second half of the 19th century. The first textile mill was set up at Bombay in 1853. Later, many textile mills were set up at various places like Ahmedabad, Madras, Bengal, Sholapur, Nagpur, etc. By the turn of the century, India had more than 200 cotton textile mills. Just before the First World War, India ranked fourth among the textile producing countries in the world. Although there was an intense competition from Britain and Japan, the Indian industry developed at a fast pace. Modern industries led to the unemployment of thousands of craftsmen and artisans of India. They had no other alternative but to become workers in big factories. Industrial development in India was lopsided as industries were localized in a few big cities, while the remaining part remained semi-developed and undeveloped. Heavy industries were largely neglected. It created an impediment for the growth of other industries too. Machinery and technology was imported from outside. Plantation industry was wholly owned by the foreigners, and Indians were mere workers in these plantations. The British gave an unfair motherly treatment to the indigenous industries. They did not give any encouragement or protection to the Indian industries. For example, the traditional and flourishing handloom industry of India suffered a decline due to imported foreign textiles. In comparison to foreign goods, higher freights were charged on the Indian goods. The British did not provide the benefit of banking, insurance, loan, etc. to the Indian industries. As a result of industrialization, two new social classes emerged in India, the capitalists and workers. Since their interests clashed with each other, the gulf between the two classes widened. The slow pace of industrialization in India resulted in the backwardness of the country's economy. Textiles, a case study. The discovery of several spindles and a piece of cotton stuck to a silver vase revealed the spinning and weaving of cotton was known to the Harappans. References of weaving are found in Vedic literature, including the methods of spinning. The foundations of the Indian textile trade with other countries began as early as 2nd century BCE. A hoard of block-printed fabrics found in the tombs of Fostat in Egypt are the proof of large-scale Indian export of cotton textiles to Egypt since early times. In India, the archaeological finds include several tools used in processing cotton into cloth, portions of woven madder-dyed cotton cloth and needles. Surviving pieces of sculptures from these early sites show that garments were not stitched and their designs indicate use of either embroidery or block printing. Many Indian texts contain references to the textile techniques and guilds of weavers, further documenting knowledge of textiles. The best early documentation of the sophistication and variety of textiles worn several hundred years ago comes from the paintings of Ajanta caves. They verify that the weaving of fine muslins with decorative designs, embroidery, brocades, and tie-dye already existed in Indian society. During the course of our history, notable migration of Islamic groups affected the textile traditions of India. Many of these people came from Central Asia, which has a cold climatic condition. Their sewn garments required special lightweight fabrics during hot Indian summer. Jamdani, an extremely fine Bengal muslin, began to be used for upper garments. Many Persian craftsmen too entered India who provided an infusion of new techniques. Aleppo cotton, known as mashru, was introduced. With the advent of Europeans, many Indian clothing and textile terms like calico, chintz, khaki, muslin, pajama, shawls, etc. entered in English and other European languages. India was a major player in the world export market for textiles in the early 18th century, but by the middle of the 19th century, it had lost all its export market and much of its domestic trade. While India produced about 25% of world industrial output in 1750, it had fallen to only 2% by 1900. The exploitative British policies were accountable for this sharp decline. Cloth played a noteworthy role in our independence movement. Mill owners in Ahmedabad and Bombay financially supported Mahatma Gandhi even though he advocated hand spinning of cotton yarn as a way for villagers to earn extra income and for the urban middle classes to identify with rural groups and artisans. Cotton textiles in India have now become a well-established manufacturing industry and employ more workers than any other sector. The textile industry of India is undergoing major reorientation towards non-clothing application of textiles known as technical textiles. The variety and abundance of handicrafted textiles in India is unmatched anywhere in the world. Our main export market is Russia and other former Soviet republics. The power loom sector forms the largest portion of the decentralized part of textile industry and dominates India's garment export industry. Trivia: straw painting is a method of manufacturing textiles by braiding straw. Trivia: do you know 1 yard of Dhaka muslin weighed barely 10 grams? The polishing of muslin was done using conch shells and the fabric was not ironed. Repeated washing made it finer.